Gotta love when you have a computer that comes back to the garage. So this computer, I sold it about 6 months ago. I had purchased it used, went through it, refurbished it, and well, found a buyer, and they've been happy with it. Customer reaches out to me and says, not getting the display, computer sometimes doesn't turn on. So when I sell a computer, I offer a 6-month warranty, and that's documented. I usually have them sign something, just, giving me their information and pretty much saying, this is what you bought, a spec build sheet of what it is, and just covering myself saying that, if it's something that you damage intentionally, I'm not going to cover it. But if it's something, software related or hardware related, that's under that 6 months, then I'll take it and I'll go ahead and I'll fix it for them. I'm outside the 6 months, so it's kind of not a warranty thing, but typically what I like to do is go ahead and just try to help them out and see if it's something that we could fix real quick. I have found by doing that for people, they end up coming back, doing more business with you, buying another computer, or even referring you to other customers. So let's go ahead, let's dive into this, and let's see what's going on. So they dropped off this computer probably a couple of days ago, and I told them, hey, I'll try to get to it. I'm a little behind on work with a whole bunch of other stuff. But I'm taking a look at it right now, and this is the serial number, and it doesn't match up to what I have on file. Now, when I build these computers, I keep a documents of everything. I have everything all saved of what it was, this one with the serial number, the specs that was in it, and this does not match up, which is kind of concerning. But there's also a few other things that is concerning. Now, I'm going to open this up. Now, this is not the graphics card that I put in there, and also this is not the memory that I put in there. On the initial build of this computer, I went with dual channel. We did 16 gigs, and I think I had to put a 1070 as the, it came with a 1660 Super, and that one had some issues with the HDMI port, so I popped this one in. So this is definitely not the computer that I sold 6 months ago, and I don't know why they're bringing this in. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is reach out to the customer, talk to them. Maybe it's a mistake. Maybe they're trying to scam me. I'm not 100% sure. But I'm not going to touch this for now, primarily because, well, this is not something I put together. This is not something I sold. So to cover my butt and not go down a rabbit hole and waste my time and money, let's see what the customer says. So we'll be back. So it's actually 2 months later, and we have developments. And I'm going to talk about that in just a sec, but let's get this thing on the bench and let me briefly tell you what happened. So I am now the proud owner of a broken HP Omen 25L. Yep, that's right, you heard it. I am the owner. Now, anytime I take a computer in, I go ahead and I kind of give them some paperwork pretty much stating that this is what the diagnostic fee would be, and I may choose to waive it just depending on different circumstances, and pretty much that once I deem what is wrong with the computer, you need to pay the $60, and that's what I charge. Flat rate $60 pretty much for 90% of anything, and then depending on the parts and all that stuff, yeah, the prices vary, but it's $60. So after I deem what's wrong with it, hey, this is what it's going to cost to repair. You can choose to repair it or not. If they choose not to repair it, then they typically pay the $60 diagnostic fee, and they get it out of the garage. And in that contract, they sign it, they agree to it. And then in the bottom of this contract that I put together for them, it pretty much states that once you've been informed of how much it's going to cost and everything, if you don't pay this after 30 days, I have the right to take ownership of this computer, pretty much for the fact that, number one, in my state, you have something called abandoned property, and also you can use it to recoup fees, storage, and all that other type of stuff. Most times I don't go down that route, but other times I do. And in this case, because I believe they were trying to scam me for a free repair, that's what I decided to do. Now, I did offer to repair this for them, just charging my basic $60 fee. I said, hey, I'll look into it. I'll fix it. If it's something I could get running, you could pay the extra for it, but this is not the one that I sold you. They argued. They said, yes, it is. You sold me something that was broken, junk, yada, yada. We go back and forth. So I said, hey, you got 30 days to pay the $60 and pick it up, or it becomes mine. And in that contract they signed, they provide their name, their address, and all that stuff, and they agreed to it. So the 30 days went by. During that time, I did send email reminders. I did send a certified letter to the address saying, hey, this is what's going to happen with it. No response. Reached out to the customer. They pretty much ignored my messages, phone calls, all that stuff. So Yeah, 30 days went by, and then I give it another 30 days to kind of really help solidify the case in case they want to, go after me legally. And well, it's been 60 days, no response to the letter, emails, phone calls, messages, all that stuff, and now it's mine. So, like we did 2 months ago, let's open it up. But before we do that, whoa, I forget these, HP omens just pop up. This thing is pretty gross. I mean, kind of mostly clogged with all this dust and debris. Let's look back at the back. You can't see it on camera, but the power supply also has a bunch of junk in there. Yeah, she's a little rough. Now, taking a look at it, like I said, this is not the graphics card I had installed in it. This is not the memory I put into it. This thing says it's an i7, so I don't know, 6th, 7th gen, 10th gen, we'll find out. I know the one I initially sold was an i5. I think it was a 10th gen, yeah, an i5 10th gen. So, yeah, does have M.2 storage down over here. Has a mechanical drive, that's cool. Put some power in there. Whoa, it's already firing up. That could be a good thing. Let's plug in some HDMI. No signal. Let's double check this. Alright, so we're not off to a good start. It powers on, but we need to figure out what is bad. Alright, so we got nothing. So let's start with the basics. Reset the CMOS, reset the memory, reseat the graphics card, check the cables and all that stuff, and let's see what we can do. Alright, so check the memory. That seems fine. Now, unfortunately, this thing doesn't have the debug. We've gotten spoiled with that, folks. It tells you memory, CPU, so we have to go to the basics. So I think the way I'm going to start is let's unplug this graphics card because the battery is right underneath. I could look up some specs on this and where things are, but let's just go with the information we have, which is right in front of us. Man, this is a wonky bracket. I think this needs to come off. There is a Phillips right over here. I'm pretty sure if we don't get this off, we can't grab our graphics card. Very interesting design. Don't quite understand it, if I'm being honest with you. It's not like this graphics card is heavy. As far as our graphics card, I'm not sure what this is. It might be a 2060. It doesn't look like the 1660s that I've seen in here, so let's put that to the side. Now that I can see it, our CMOS is right over here, and this thing is crusty. So let's go ahead, move this over. That should short it out. All right, so now that we've done that, we've jumpered that. Let's pop this back in. Let's try this. Now that we reset our BIOS, let's fire this thing up. Nothing. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do is move our memory over. Let's pop it in this channel right over here. This is 8 gig stick, DDR4 3200. Plug our power back in, and of course this thing fires up by itself. Once again, nothing. All right, let me think a little bit and we'll come back. So let's plug in our power supply tester, and this should reach. These cables are like really all over the place. It'll sit fine over here because we're not turning anything on. Very interesting. Let's dig up another power supply and let's see what happens. So the trusty Corsair CX600, got it plugged in just loosely, kind of make sure nothing is hitting our fans. All right, CPU power, 24 pin, graphics card. Let's fire this thing up. Don't do that, don't do that. There we go. Do we get video? This is not looking promising, so let's turn this thing off. Fire it back on. Nothing. So what is going on with this computer? So let's rip everything out. This graphics card, we're going to take it out. I think we're also going to drop it in the bench too, and at least test to find out if we have a good graphics card. Same thing with our memory. And of course, HP has their, Torx bit screws, which are lovely. But you can use a flathead screwdriver. Surprisingly, this thermal paste seems fresh. Evidence somebody's been in here. Not a decent spread, but, good enough. And I'm really starting to think that this guy tried to fix it and figured, oh, I bought the same computer from him and, he could get this thing fixed for free. Not so much, buddy. Not so much. Now, this is a i7-10700F. Pretty decent CPU. But unfortunately, I don't have anything to test that with. So that's a bummer. Our storage is 512 gigs M.2. Let's see what's in the mechanical. 1 terabyte. And yes, I could look up the serial number in the spec sheet, but this is more fun. Now we're bringing out Old Faithful, the test bench. So what I'm actually going to go ahead and do, oh no, I want to keep that there. Let's take out this memory. Pop this one in. This way. Nope. This way. Yep. Throw in this graphics card. Let's fire it up. No boom. That's good. Let's see if we get a display. And the cool thing is we got the debug LED, so we'll know if it's memory, CPU. And so far we're off to a good start. We got a video, seems to be posting. Oh, that's 16 gigs. That's pretty cool. I thought it said 8x2. Guess I can't read too good. All right, GPU Z. Let's tattletale and see what graphics card this is. And like I suspected, we got a 2060. Now we're using the default Windows drivers, which is fine. Let's just run a quick Heaven benchmark. Put a little stress on this graphics card. 2060 is running fine. Temperatures, about 60 degrees. It is really hot in the garage today. It's actually 90 degrees Fahrenheit in here, so she's gonna toast up real quick. So graphics card's good, memory's good. Fairly confident that M.2 is good. So now the question is, motherboard, CPU, or power supply? Considering it did the same thing with 2 power supplies, I'm more confident that it's the motherboard and or CPU. Let me think, because that stuff is really built into that case. Let me see what I can come up with. So I think what I'm going to do now is keep going down the rabbit hole. I mean, I pretty much got a free computer that doesn't work. So we got a graphics card, we got memory, we got the M.2. But is it the board or is it the power supply? I'm leaning towards the motherboard, and here's why. And hear me out on this. I tried 2 different power supplies that did the exact same thing. So let's get everything plugged out. And sometimes I've also experienced that when you take things out of the case, they tend to come back to life. I don't know. I think that's everything. Nope. Maybe. Well, also helps if I unplug all this stuff. You guys can't see anything, can you? I'm sorry. There we go. Yeah, I gotta unplug this stuff here. thing's like stuck in there. Is this the part where, oh, forgot another one. Rookie mistake. A lot of rookie mistakes, I'm sure. Another one. Let's see. It's kind of weird. I mean, I've never seen a board kind of look like that on the back. I just think it's funny that it's kind of all patterned. Maybe that's just the way it is, but I've never seen that before. Comment down below, let me know your thoughts. Now, one thing I did forget to check, probably should have done that before taking this thing apart, which it's fine because I would have to clean this thing really good if I was to do anything with it. The sockets. We did notice that the thermal paste did appear to be fresh. So what is the chance that they bent a couple of pins? And I already see evidence of thermal paste right over there. Well, the pins look good. Let's check the CPU. Anything that might have... CPU looks good too. Now let's go ahead and kind of dust everything off. So let's spray this thing down with some alcohol. Let's kind of scrub it. See if we can bring this thing back to life. It's got to be the motherboard. Take your bets now, folks. We're taking a soft bristle toothbrush and we're just going over all the little traces, contacts, and small things. Anything that's gooped up in here. Now, looking at this motherboard, as grimy as the case is, and it has that kind of film, it doesn't have an odor, but I think this was in a Vapor's home. So there is a chance that something got damaged or bridged that way. Not 100% sure. Those are just my assumptions. Do the same thing for the back. And this is just nice and soft with some soft bristles. Minus me banging into the board. Brand new, refurbished. Worked last time I used it a couple of years ago. Tons of FPSs. Don't lowball me. I know what I got. So now the fortunate thing about this is that the power button is right there. It says PB, and that's not for peanut butter. That is awesome. So, you know, you get a motherboard like this, you can rehome it in a nicer, fancier, more RGB-ish case. So that's pretty cool. All right, let's flick the switch. Do we get a post? Nothing. Still doing the same thing. Let me try the last two memory channels and we'll see. So I've tried it in every memory channel. I haven't put the M.2 in because in a previous video, a bunch of people went crazy in the comments saying that, oh, a computer won't work or won't boot without the M.2. Just to try it as a Hail Mary, I put that in and it still does the same thing. So let's wrap this up and review. So let's start with this. Documentation is key, and I can't stress that enough. I build a lot of computers and I can't remember all of them. I remember most of them, some of the more memorable ones, typically the headache ones or the ones that I got in really low and made some good profit on that. This one, I remember the graphics card thing because the 1660 had a HDMI. That's why I popped the 1070 in there. And then I remember, you know, if I'm going to sell this as a gaming PC, we got to get the most performance, and dual channel was definitely the way to go. And it looked better because I think I had the RGB lights, which kind of shined white. It looked really good, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me. I'll have to look at the video for that. But anyways, remembering that detail and also notating the serial number saved me from this headache. What I think what happened is that he probably got this in as a trade real cheap and said, hey, you know, he fixed that. He's, you know, 6 months warranty, and maybe he'll take a look at it, fix it for free, or whatever the case may be. And that's why he brought this in, because it's just like the other one I sold him. Well, I guess that backfired on him because I remember what I sold them. Document it. Folks, if you're gonna fill computers, document everything. I have a file full of every computer I flipped probably for the last several years with serial numbers, parts, exactly what it is, how much I sold it for, and that's just to cover my bases. So when they bring it in, I can look at it and say, oh yeah, I remember you, this is what I sold. And then, you know, it helps with the diagnostics, because a lot of times when those computers come in, one of the issues I do see is that they try to upgrade something, and sometimes that just becomes a downward spiral as they break things. Needless to say, now I am the owner of this. So what do I got? Now I got a 2060, I got 16 gigs of DDR4 3200, can't have enough of that. Power supply works, as apparently it keeps doing the same thing with all the other power supplies, 512 M.2, 1 terabyte storage. And honestly, this case, I could pop in a regular computer in there, because I think this pops out, does it? Yep, that pops out. So I could pop in an MATX motherboard, fit it in there, and we're good to go. So that is the plus side. The bummer is that motherboard or CPU. My money is on the motherboard. But then again, it could be a bad CPU. I don't know. I don't have a CPU. I don't have a motherboard to test the 10th gen, which I need to upgrade my testing and get a little more versatile in that. But I mean, either way, we'll figure it out. If it's a bad CPU, that's fine. We could get something like an i5 10th gen, throw it in there pretty cheap. And if it's a bad motherboard, I definitely will take that i7 10th gen and put in something a lot nicer. So comment down below. Let me know your thoughts, concerns, criticisms. Do you think I missed anything in my testing? Have you ever run into that where customers try to hustle you? And do you think it was wrong for the way I handled this situation? If you like this video, definitely hit the like button, subscribe if you're not. And as always, I hope I don't get scammed.